I had the same repeating dream for years. It started when I was a kid and extended into adulthood. In these dreams, big men were running after me, chasing after me, and I was running away. So, as you see from that dream, I was identified with somebody who was small and weak, and I wasn't identified with big and powerful. Now, when I was 26, I met Arnie Mindell and started studying process work. And uh, I started to learn about my power. And I started to get stronger. And I actually also physically got stronger. I started running a lot and I started working out and I physically got stronger. I internally got stronger. And one day I had a dream. I had the same dream. In this dream, these two men that were chasing me, each one was as big as a house. They were huge. They're chasing after me, but then for the first time, something shifted. I turned around and I got down on my knees and I said, "What do you want?" And they said, "The professor sent us here to teach you about being a man." And I said, "Teach me." And they did. And I won't go into all those details, but it was really beautiful. The amazing thing is, after that dream, I never had that dream again in my life. Those dreams stopped. So what happened there? First of all, as I've said in other videos, Jung said that a dream is a compensation for a one-sided conscious attitude. A dream is a compensation or a balancing for a one-sidedness. So I was one-sided in the direction of feeling weak. My dream was showing me something that was strong to balance me. But my attitude over the years stayed the same. I still felt like I was weak. I still had the attitude that those strong ones were scary. So the dreams continued. But when I changed my attitude through working on myself, through process work, the dream changed because my attitude was no longer against that power. I didn't have to have those dreams anymore. I could learn from those men, from the professor in the background, from the wisdom in the background that was creating those dreams, that was sending those men toward me. So Arnie Mindell would tell me again and again, "Lane, process work is not just about finding your power." But that was hard for me to hear because I had spent so many years without power that I really actually wanted power. Kind of started going overboard a little bit. I started getting kind of pushy and kind of using my power against people, which I'm not proud of at this point, but that's what was happening in that part of my life. I started getting one-sided in the other direction. I had been one-sided in my weakness, and then I started getting one-sided in terms of my power. And then I hurt my feet. I used to run so much, and then one time I just ran too much and I hurt my feet, and my feet stayed hurt for a really long time. And I worked on that, and out of that came a sense of my fragility. So again, there was again a balancing, right? The body is also dreaming. Dreams don't just happen at night. So my body this time was forcing me to the other side. My body was showing me my fragility when I had been just identified with my power for a while. And then one day I was working with Arnie. We were working on my fragility. We are working on my sensitivity. We are working on, oh, yes, every time I take a step, I could feel like if there was a stone underneath my feet. I was kind of like the princess and the pea for a while. I could really feel that sensitivity. Then the next week I was working with Arnie, and we were working on my feet, and for some reason what came out was the concrete that had been beneath my feet when my feet got hurt. And what came out was being as strong as the concrete, that when something stepped on me, it broke and I didn't. And I remember saying to Arnie, but Arnie, last week it was about being really sensitive, and then this week it's about being really hard and strong. Like, how can it be both? Which one is it? And he said, well, actually, they're two sides of a dynamic, actually. And then that's when I realized, actually, about the life myth, that a life myth is not just around, okay, there's something you're identified with, then there's something else, you become that something else. That's what I had thought until then, right? I'm identified as this, but there's this other thing that I'm being shown, so I become that. That's not the life myth. Although that is important, actually. It's important, right? If there's something inside of you that's always got the microphone and something else inside of you that never gets heard, it's important to give her the microphone too. That's very important. But that's not the whole point. The point is your wholeness, actually. The point is that there's a dynamic that's happening, and there's a polarization that's happening, and a whole dynamic between those sides, and the flow back and forth between those sides. And the whole, it's like a rainbow. It's like a rainbow that on both sides of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold, right? At the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold, but on this side, there's a pot of gold too. And then there's all the different colors in between. And so that's what I learned that about life myth from my own experience, that yes, I am weak and fragile and very sensitive. That is true about me. And I am strong and hard and absolutely immovable. That is true about me too. And I am all the rich stuff in between too. So something happened to me that happens to a lot of people, I think. When I had this chronic physical symptom that didn't go away, I started to feel a lot of shame about it. I felt like, am I doing something wrong? Am I not doing something right? Like, why does this keep happening to me? And I've seen a lot of people over the years, clients and friends, who have that sense of shame. And I think it's perpetuated also by our culture. In our culture, there are ideas that we create our own reality. There are new age ideas about, you manifest what you think is what happens. Those are all really good ideas, and they can be used against us. We can use those against ourselves by giving ourselves a sense of, whoa, there's something wrong with me. And when I would talk about this with Arnie, he was really, really helpful. And he would say that actually it's not a causal process. It's not, I'm doing this, therefore this is happening, or I'm not doing this, therefore this is not happening. It's a process that's happening. There's something happening. There's a process that's happening. And a chronic symptom, he told me, is a chronic reminder. It's a chronic awareness teacher. It's a chronic thing that wakes us up to what's happening. So I ended up working on this symptom with my feet for over a year, really, really intensely. And I discovered so many different layers of meaning. There's a lot of different layers of meaning in any kind of physical symptom, especially one that happens long term. So I ended up working on this for a long time. and learning about so many different shades of meaning that was in that symptom. And in the end, it was really that the symptom became a meditation master for me. That every single time I took a step and I felt that pain, it reminded me of all the different rich aspects of that dynamic. Every time I took a step, it reminded me of my wholeness.